Okay, good morning, folks. Welcome to ITS Tech Day, June 24th, 2020 at the University of Rhode Island. This is a multi-track tech day, and you are in session one regarding Microsoft OneDrive basics. My name is Bob Viens, and I am your host for the morning. And please note your microphone was muted when you came in, and you can remain muted unless you're actively speaking. And whenever you have a question, you can use the hand raise feature, or you can even chat it in. So with that, I'm going to close out of this particular document, and we're going to go into our presentation. So we are talking about OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive, which is part of the Office 365 portal that is provided to every faculty, staff, and student at the University of Rhode Island. It has a whole slew of applications that are available, and in case anyone has questions about how you get to it, you can access the Microsoft 365 portal at portal.office.com, and you will log in with your URI email credentials, either your @uri.edu or your @my.uri.edu credential. This is the hub of the URI single sign-on system that we have been migrating to over the last most of a year. There are 20 plus core apps that are provided at no charge to everyone here in the URI community, and it is also becoming the portal to access all URI apps. Essentially, we have got everything built into this system now, with the exception of eCampus and some smaller ancillary systems. If you're having access issues, you can contact the URI Service Desk. The easiest way to contact them is now via helpdesk@uri.edu as an email or even a chat from your Google account. And you can also use the password.uri.edu sync page, which is where you can enter in your credentials using what used to be called your Sakai password, but is actually more recently being called the wireless password or your URI ID. That will allow you to synchronize your usernames and passwords across all of the different systems. There are, as you can see in the image here, a whole bunch of different applications, as I had mentioned, and we're going to when I go to that page, we'll take a look at it. We're obviously talking about OneDrive now, but I just wanted to get this information to you in terms of it being a central access point for everything that you have at the university. There are considerable online resources and training that are available, and I wanted to note them to you, and I'm actually going to copy them as we're speaking into the chat section of the window here. And these are links that are common and they're out there, but sometimes people don't think of them all or see them all, but you can see all of the links that are there now. They're linked into this location, and after this event is over, this PowerPoint document is going to be available to everyone, and these links that in the document are active links. We are going to talk about the things that are covered here, and I'm not going to recreate support documentation. Microsoft has extensive documentation. You'll see how you can work with files and folders, how you can share them direct from there, how you can work with your storage. There's also a full, extensive online help from Microsoft, and even on YouTube, and a search there on YouTube, and that link will take you to that as well. There are a lot of resources that are out in the wild to show you what you need to do and how you can work with it. We're also going to talk briefly about OneDrive Sync, which is a very good way for folks to designate a folder or folders on their computer or their laptop, and every time they connect or change a file in that location, it automatically backs it up to the cloud for you. And we will actually look also at how you can restore files yourself if you have a file that you've lost or you want an older version. So we'll move on down. We're going to go into a live demo mode here in just a minute. I just want to talk about what we're going to cover in this. We'll look at the layout, the traditional folder structure views, where you can look at your files, recent, shared, and trashed, create Office docs direct from OneDrive, how you can upload files in entire folders. You can share them, folders, files, and collaborate. How you can look at your history, versions, your collaboration history, and even to restore your old files. And with that, I'm going to change how my screen is looking for you right now, because I am going to share my entire screen and show you the base Microsoft Office location. So now you're looking at my Office portal as I see it. And from here, there's a whole bunch of things, and I'm just going to invest 2 minutes of our time here to talk about this entire interface, because this is of value and you're going to be spending some time here. You can notice that you see some of the recommended documents, things that you've recently worked with. It basically remembers what you've worked with within Drive. And up in the top left corner, you have quick access to get to various applications. And also from this location as well, you can go through all of these icons and see what's there. Up top on the right-hand side, you can install Microsoft Office, and you are entitled to install Microsoft Office on up to 5 devices. This installation automatically detects if you're on Windows or Mac or even a tablet or even your phone. And there are versions of all of this that can be installed from there. Please note that there is a section down below regarding your recent documents. You can actually pin documents to this location for quick access. And you can even click on Shared with Me and see who has shared documents with you within OneDrive and see what's been going on in those environments. Further up, you can see the All Apps link here. When you click All Apps, it oddly enough extends out and shows you all of your apps. This is the entire suite of Microsoft Office 365 apps that are included. You won't have the admin one, obviously, but all of these apps are available to you through this portal. And some of these are cloud-based only, but the base apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth that you would get if you bought a disk would be included in here. A common question here is, why isn't Microsoft Access in here? It is not included. Microsoft does not include that in the Office 365. That is a separate purchase, as is Visio, which is another common request as well. You can scroll a little bit further down, and you can see the list of apps that are available for the university. These are university-specific applications. Now, your look will be a little bit different because this is a permissions-based, it's called Microsoft Identity Management when we get to the end stage. And you can see all of the applications that are available from here. And these are single sign-on apps, which means once I have logged into this portal, I can go direct to apps like WebEx, Qualtrics, and all these other things. TechSmith Relay, Top Hat, Turning Point, so on and so forth. But the purpose of our discussion is to talk about OneDrive. So I'm clicking on the OneDrive app, and the first thing I want to review is the layout and the structure of what you're looking at here. OneDrive uses what is traditionally thought of as a folder structure, whereas Google Drive isn't really folders, they're labels, and everything is technically in one big bucket. Microsoft's system follows more closely with the traditional file and folders format here. So from here on the left-hand side, you can see what files are yours, what files are recent, you can see what files are shared, and you can also see what's in your recycle bin. There are also shared libraries that I've created. Think of these as common spaces where you've defined a structure that people can see what's in them. For instance, if I were to go into this particular project, G Suite domain consolidation, I can see what documents are in here and actually work within this space. And from here, you can also decide who is in this particular space and work with permissions. Also from here, you can go back to the beginning here and go to My Files. You have control up here of what you can do. You can create new folders, and as an important thing, you can also create brand new documents from this location. You can make Word, Excel, PowerPoint, so on and so forth. So what you can do with this, and I encourage you to do, is make your life more simple by creating the documents in OneDrive if that's the online storage system that you are choosing to use. Because one of the things that I think we can all relate to is a versioning issue in terms of I have a document that I created, a Word file, and I send it to somebody and they make revisions and back and forth. If you work in this manner with a shared library, you end up with one file version that lives in this directory structure, and then you manage who has access to it. And why that can be really valuable for you is that you also at that point get versioning control. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes. And actually we can roll back to older versions and see what's going on. Continuing along the back side of here, the top of the menu here, you can upload files or even an entire folder structure. It isn't much more complicated than that. You can sync your online and your cloud-based and also your desktop file structures that you have designated, and we'll get into that as well. Further along, there is Automate, which is a much more advanced scenario. Power Automate utilizes this app over here that is available from, where is it? Oh, I missed it. But in any event, there is a Power Automate feature which allows you to create a flow where you say, I make the document, then so-and-so has to approve it. We're not going to go into that today, but it is actually very useful if you invest some time to work with it. Further over to the right, you can sort your documents by a variety of factors: type, name, when it was modified, who modified its size, so on and so forth. And also from over here, you can change your view from list to a compact list to tiles, depending on what is most appealing to you and what you work best with. Now I want to talk about an individual file in here, and I'm going to grab a file that's over here and click on this particular, actually I didn't want to do that, I just wanted to highlight it, because what I wanted you to note is now that I have selected the file, I have the option in the top right to see some info about this file. And this is one of the things that's cool. I should have chosen something that was a little bit more detailed, but if this was a shared document and everybody had it, you could see the activity on the document, the type, the last time it was modified, the name and the size. And we're going to check on a different document here and see if we can find it. One with more structures. Hang on one second. I'm just trying to find you something that's got a little bit more detail in it to fully explore it. And of course, I should have prepped that beforehand. But the whole idea here is that you can see the history of a document here. You can work with it and see the activity. You can see more details and actually look back through what is involved with the document. You can also work with restoring individual files. And that's where this gets really slick and really valuable for you. By going to the gear up here, I can click Restore Your OneDrive, which is going to open in a new window. There we go. Refresh the browser and go into Restore. I can select a date range back to up to 3 weeks ago and a custom date and time, and I can go in and specify specific files that I want to restore. So if I knew that I had an issue and I wanted to go back with a custom date and time or go back 3 weeks ago, I can use the sliding bar to see how far back I want to go, and then I can come here and I can actually select which files I want to restore. Okay? So right now I've got everything selected. I would unselect everything and select just one specific file. So for now, we're going to stop restoring. I just wanted to show you that. And then we're going to return back to OneDrive. And we're going to talk about shared libraries and creating a shared library. Creating a shared library is not terribly difficult. what you can do is you can work with team sites, and you can also work with Microsoft SharePoint to create an environment. For instance, if I wanted to make a site, I can set up the site to be a public site or private. Public meaning within the university, by the way. You cannot connect this to people outside the university at this time. And then I can identify additional owners of the site. Maybe if I actually spelled Mark's name correctly. Notice that it looked him up. And it's because I typed it in wrong, but yeah, I typed it in wrong. Notice that it said you can't do this. But when I actually type it correctly, and then I can begin to add members. Okay, so it picked that up and it saw it from the consoles. And notice I did this deliberately. Don't allow sharing with people outside the organization, but I could certainly save this with share this with a URI person and then finish it and work from there. So what that does is that creates a private group within SharePoint that is linked directly to my OneDrive location. Now there are separate sessions regarding SharePoint that we can talk about or we can arrange, but what this gives you is a web interface front end that allows you to have conversations, share documents, and work with a variety of factors here. So we're going to go back to OneDrive. I just wanted to show you that OneDrive is the base of operation if you are working with SharePoint or Microsoft Teams. And when you have a fully developed and put together shared library, you actually end up with a folder structure, you get organizational structure, you can create subfolders, you can put all of this together either based on a project, which is what URI Managed Print Services is, or it could be specific to a department, or if you're a faculty member, you could even have this particular to a class. Okay, so there's a lot of capabilities that you have here within this system, and it's just one of the tools that you have. Everybody also has Google Drive. One of the advantages regarding this is while the Google Drive, the Google Merge project is underway, meaning at uri.edu for faculty and staff is going to be merged with at my.uri.edu to make collaboration and sharing more easy. All of the students, faculty, and staff are all in the same OneDrive interface, the same Microsoft Office portal interface, so that will make quite a bit of it easier in terms of sharing. Also from here, this is cloud-based, but there is a OneDrive app. If you click on here, you can download the app and have it be available on your mobile device as a local item. That can be very useful in terms of working with documents when you're not connected, okay, when you're not online. If it were, you could be sitting on a beach and still have these items, and then once you reconnect, can sync up between the drive and the space on your individual laptop. In terms of managing your space, there is a location where you can work with space. Hang on just one section for me. OneDrive settings, yep. Come on. You can also work with the notification settings. I leave them all on them. By default, they are, but it's entirely up to you. And you can look from here also at your storage metrics. Now, the OneDrive default is just over 1 terabyte for each individual. So that's a lot of space. I know the Google space is an unlimited, but this is limited to 1 terabyte, but it is still an enormous amount of space. That's 1,000 gigabytes. But from here, you can see what things are taking up the most of your space and some individual documents, so it can give you a handle on trying to find some individual sites. And you could even search in here for specific file types or specific file names that are, if that's giving you any kind of difficulties. Let's see, what else did I have here that I wanted? We talked about managing space. We talked about version history, restore files, shared libraries. So that is the lion's share of what I wanted to show you folks. You can do an awful lot in here, but one of the things that I also want to talk about is working with Brightspace and working with LMS systems. There is nothing that's going to prevent you from sharing a link with your students through Brightspace rather than uploading the files. I'm taking a little time to talk about this because as we try and work with the new LMS, we'd like to avoid some of the things that were done in the past in terms of uploading large files, particularly video files and other files. You do have other repositories to put them in a link, and using links in Brightspace is going to be effective for you, and also work at keeping the Brightspace system lean and mean, for lack of a better term, instead of it having a huge file directory structure, which it can handle it, but it's just a more efficient model. You can make a share location for History 101 on your OneDrive and then link to that location, or even link, if you want to get more advanced, to a Microsoft team to that and work with that directly. So with that, I'm going to go back to our primary screen, and we will talk a little bit about what questions or specific issues that you may have that you'd like to review. There is a lot that can be done with this. It all becomes down to a matter of what is the best tool for you. I do see some questions in the chat now. Would there be a reason to use both OneDrive and Google Drive, or do you recommend selecting and sticking to just one? That's a good question, and it's right to the heart of what we're talking about, Michelle. I am not in the business of telling faculty or even staff what product they're supposed to use. I have a personal preference for OneDrive, the Microsoft world. I find the folder structure easier to work with and a little bit more simple to understand. I would suggest that there be a department level conversation. And folks, if you're in, I'm not talking academic, I'm talking administrative. If you're going to conduct business in a certain manner within your department, working with financial documents or working with whatever, it would be good to get everybody on board and sharing and working in one or the other. But doesn't mean you can't do both. I do both out of necessity. I have some things that I do in Google. I have some things that I do in OneDrive. If your department has a lot of folks who are Mac users, and basically they all do, it doesn't pose a barrier for working in OneDrive or in Google. It's just a matter of which tool best fits what your needs as a department are, or for your particular coursework. If the coursework is heavy on Word documents and Excel and the basic Microsoft Word elements, then it might be a good idea to stay within there. And you can actually have students upload files to a folder structure that you've built. You can turn that into a way that they can collaborate with you and share things with you. You can also do that through the Brightspace interface, but this is just another methodology that you have to be able to work with students. And yes, wouldn't you need a whole department to be part of OneDrive for it to work correctly if you are the only one using it? Technically, they are part of OneDrive. Nobody is opted out of it. They may not use it, but if you are in there and you shared a document with them, they still have access to it. And that's why I was talking about getting people to try and collaborate and be on the same team in terms of working together. Yes, you could be the only one in your department using OneDrive, and everybody else could be using Google. It's just a matter of you folks deciding which way do you want to work. One doesn't preclude the other. It just makes it simpler for a department to look at one particular tool. Doesn't mean you can't do it the other way. I bounce back and forth between them all the time. Monica, yeah, I agree. The folder structure is its strength. I had never had a Google account prior to 4 years ago when we went to get Google here. I know people don't believe me when I say that. I've always been in the Microsoft world. One of the things that I like about Microsoft is the folder structure, the working with it. Oh, and I didn't show you one thing that I want to add regarding the sync tool. I am going to actually share my desktop again. I apologize. And we are going to take a look at the Microsoft Sync tool. Now, the Sync tool is located after you install it, and you saw where to install it on that particular page. You can install it right from there. I'm going to share my screen one with you. And once you have it installed and in place, it actually shows up down here in your toolbar as a cloud. Now, once you click on it, it will tell you if it is up to date and your files are synced. You can open that particular file, that means the local folder. You can view it online or work with more in terms of the setting. You can also manage storage from here, but you can work on setting, and from here you can add an account or manage your storage or even decide what the backup is in terms of the folders. I can go in here and I can designate which folders are the important ones and where I have the information that I want to sync. This is very important, particularly as more and more people are using laptops. That laptop should not be your sole repository of documents that you have. You should have it synced to the cloud. Whether you're syncing to Google or you're syncing to OneDrive is entirely up to you, but the whole point is that it gives you the ability to have an automated backup so that if something were to happen, if your device were to die, if your device were to be lost or stolen, then you can have all the information still in the cloud from the last time you did it. It's not terribly complicated. It is literally a set and forget thing. And the first time that you set it up, you can actually tell it, and these are the default settings. Start it when I go into Windows, automatically pause sync when the device is in battery saver mode, and also pause sync on a metered network. That's a whole separate issue. So there's a lot of value to this, and I am actually what I consider a large user, and I don't store everything to the cloud, just the things that I want, and I actually have not even scratched what I'm using up there, okay? So glad I remembered to check that on you. So we're going to go back to where we were. A significant drawback seems to be that you cannot include anyone outside of URI. That is absolutely true, Ellen. And it is something that IT security is looking at. There are pluses and minuses to all of these options at the university. There are pluses and minuses to Google. There's pluses and minuses to Microsoft Office Suite. There are other vehicles for sharing with people outside of the university. It just depends on what you're going for. One nice thing about the OneDrive scenario, it is considered to be a more secure environment typically. Google Drive is secure. Both are HIPAA and FERPA compliant. Just Microsoft's environment, in my experience, has been something that is more stable and more sure. Workaround for that is going to be a variety of things depending on how you're delivering it. You can use it as a read-only file repository and have web links to it. There's a whole bunch of ways. If you want to explore what those are, you can get a hold of me and we can see if we can work with you to find a way to do that. And I'm also seeking to get it a little bit more open so that we can go with people outside the URI environment. Can we share this OneDrive with students who don't have URI? Yes. At my.uri.edu and at uri.edu, every faculty, staff, and student is in this same portal. So sharing to students is absolutely doable. They are part of the same environment. It is one thing that the Google environment does not currently have, although there is a project underway to migrate the @my.uri.edu students into the central uri.edu portal to alleviate that in Google. Okay. Are there any other questions that anyone may have? I didn't see anybody didn't raise their hand for that feature, but that's fine. Any way that a question gets to us is fine. There's a great deal of capabilities in here, and we could spend a lot more time going through these and going through the integrations with SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. Those are other subjects, but what I just want you to do is to think about the OneDrive as not just being a place where you stick folders and store folders. You can share from here, you can collaborate from here, you can integrate into Microsoft Teams, and I have a session later today on Microsoft Teams, setting that up and structuring that to work with people. And you can just make this a collaboration center from here. I have files in here and linked into Teams and SharePoint that I collaborate with other people within IT and within the university. And it ends up being a plus because now we have one central file location, and we're not passing emails back and forth and having different versions and a variety of issues with remembering who did what and who didn't do what, because each of the files will have a list of who edited those files and version control to show you could actually go back to an older version. There don't appear to be any other questions. So folks, if you do have a question, now's the time to shout it out, and be happy to talk about anything more. Let's see if we go back up through the list, see if we can see any more questions. It appears that we have answered all of the questions that have been presented to us. So with that, are all students aware of OneDrive? Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. We have been for more than a year and a half now pushing OneDrive to the students. We have actually worked with the campus computer store, RAM Computers, to tell students stop buying Microsoft Office. We are providing it to you in a better version that you can buy on your own, because it's much more inclusive. It allows you to install it up to 5 devices, and everyone's entitled to this as part of the entire package that we have purchased from Microsoft. So yes, the students have been pushed for quite some time to sync into the portal, to sync up their passwords, and there are some new students coming in. They're being directed through this as well, obviously, with the new orientation. But the rest of the students who've been here for some time, we have held trainings and sessions, and I would bet that it's a very small percentile of the students who don't know about Microsoft Office portal that they're getting. We all like stuff for free, right? And Disability Services said they just synced and it's easy. It is easy. It's not difficult. It really is a set and forget thing. And I really want to save anyone the difficulty of an oh my God moment because they lost their laptop and their stuff that they had been working on goes away. We encourage students to do this. This is all part of the idea of working in the cloud. Essentially, you are working in the cloud when you're using Google and OneDrive, and that's one of the other sessions that we have later on today. Working in the cloud is what's going to save you from having a very unhappy moment when you've lost the laptop or lost your device. I mean, no one wants to lose anything, obviously, but this can make your life a heck of a lot easier. And you can install this on your tablet. I have it on my iPad Pro. I have it on my Android phone, and actually use the applications. And that's kind of a nice thing because you can open Word documents and actually edit them in these portable devices and receive notifications and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and it's all part of the suite of tools that your IIT is providing to everybody. not just faculty and staff, but students as well. And we are supporting this wide array of tools for everyone so that however faculty and staff wish to conduct their day-to-day education, their day-to-day business for the university, they have the tools that are needed. Okay, folks, this will be the last chance for questions. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to shoot them up now. As I had mentioned, these particular sessions are being recorded, and there will be an availability of both the sessions and of the documentation that goes with them online. So watch for that email to come out at another time. Okay, with that, folks, I'm going to wish you a good day. Please take advantage of as many sessions as you can. And
that's the question.
Yes, of course you can. Go ahead.
Yeah. What is the best folder or directory structure you will recommend?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What is the best folder or directory structure you will recommend the faculty to use? Because sometimes you have something in one folder, you want to share this one, you may the other part you don't want to share. And I think that's a big challenge. You want to have a many subfolder to share, but you also have many places you have to set up the permission.
Absolutely. What I recommend is that you have, I'll use the term of a primary or a master file structure that is yours and yours alone. And then you create a folder and call it shared, for lack of a better term. And then you can actually share things from within there. If you really are concerned about the directory structure that you have and what is shared, it takes a little bit more effort, but you actually create a separate tree, a share tree, and you share things through that share tree and only through that share tree so that you take control of what's in your master and what's in that. The problem that most people encounter is they will have a folder called, I don't know, Project 1. And they'll have 15 things in there, and they only want to share 2 of them. Now, you can share the individual documents, but now you're taking yourselves to a granular level. If you want to share that whole folder and you're not worried about anybody what's seeing in there, you can do that as well. But I find it easier for me to have a master folder structure and then a shared folder structure, and then when I need something to be shared, I share the folder itself with the people I'm collaborating with, and then I only put in that folder what I want them to see, because they will automatically see anything that I share in that folder. Another way to do that, and I encourage you to go to the Teams session that I have, is that you actually create a team, a Microsoft team, and you can add people, faculty, staff, and students to that team as well, and it becomes a common site location to collaborate on documents, to actually record chat conversations, to add additional channels like special resources or special applications. I actually have Microsoft Teams channels that have Microsoft Planner added into it and WebEx added into it. Essentially build a team with the resources that you need. OneDrive is, to put it simply, it's just a place to store things and to share things. It's using the collaboration tools within it and that are tied into it that actually turn it into an environment that really makes it useful for working with others. I hope that helped. It's a tough question to answer. It's going to be varied based on what you need to do. Anyone else? Feel free to unmute yourself. We've lost about half the crew, so with that, I'm going to thank everyone. Have a good day. Enjoy everything. Take care, folks. Bye now.
Robert?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here. Go.
I had a quick...
Oh, Monica. Go ahead.
How do I get to that? How do I get to the sync, to initiate sync?
So you want to install the tool?
Is that what I have to do? I have to install the tool, yeah.
Yeah. When you're in the portal...
I'm in,
Okay, look in the lower left-hand corner and get the OneDrive apps, and then you can download it. And also, you can pick up the OneDrive app from, hang on one second. It was an easier place that it did. Once click the OneDrive admin.
So I have to start with
And
OneDrive? I have to click
yes,
OneDrive first? Okay.
yeah, start with OneDrive first, and then the installation. And you can easily do it just by going, install sync. Just Google install Microsoft OneDrive sync. Let's see, get the OneDrive.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
I might have already. Okay, so I see the sync now.
There you go. And just download it and install it, and it's really quick and easy.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. All right.
So,
Take care,
Bob.
everybody. Yes, who's this?
Bob, I'm sorry, this is Ellen.
Hey, Alan. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? This was really
Good.
great. So when I attempt to sync, I apparently have a copy already on, like a personal OneDrive, I suppose.
That's not an
And-
uncommon problem. Some people had went out and purchased OneDrive and have their own personal version. You're going to have to go into the OneDrive settings and look at not the OneDrive settings, excuse me, the Sync app. If you remember where I opened the app, there is a More section, and then there's Settings. And on that, actually, let me show my.
Yes, show me, because I don't remember where you opened the app.
You go down to the cloud. Let me move my face. Go down to the cloud and click on that. And then under More, you have the option to view your settings. Now, under Settings, you can unlink this PC or you can add an account. I would suggest adding another account, and then you can choose a specific folder for it. That's if you want to mix the two of them. You may not want to. You may want to keep them.
No, okay, but I have a Mac and I don't have a down at the bottom.
Okay, the Mac version of the sync. Hang on one second. Let me bring up a page. Here it is right here. And I am going to put that link directly into chat for you. You can go and grab it. That is
Okay,
a
got
slightly
it.
different animal.
Okay.
And it may not show the cloud the same way. It probably is something that you have to do. But you have to follow the steps that are here, installing the OneDrive for Mac and so on and so forth. Mac is a little bit of a different animal in OneDrive is a little bit different animal in Macs. I mean, it is the whole Microsoft versus Macintosh world. But once
Right.
you have it in, it does look very similar. It doesn't have settings. It has preferences instead of settings, that type of thing. And I actually like parts of their interface regarding working with the account and such is a little bit better than the Microsoft version. Everything seems to be more driven by icons in their world as opposed to that. But definitely there, it definitely works. It's just a slightly different animal.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I could figure it out. Thank you. This has been great, Bob. Much
Good.
appreciated.
Take care, everybody.